See, because it's old, it's Middle English. And it comes from Old High German. It actually means what? Pale. But
So
our people can't
I didn't
read.
understand, now I'll be honest, I didn't understand how black meant pale until this summer. So I spent all summer by the pool and in the sun with my natural hair this year.
Yes.
No weave, nothing extra. So I noticed that in my skin getting darker, my hair was getting lighter.
Mhm.
Around the edges it would get a little blonde,
Yeah,
and
get
eventually
sandy.
it got sandy,
Get sandy.
and it gets pale.
Yeah.
And then to me that was the definition of black. It gets pale, it gets a little
Yeah.
lighter, not
It's Blake.
darker.
Blake.
It's baconing,
yeah,
it's baking,
it's
it's
called Blake.
blackening. And that's what made sense.
That's what Blake.
For most
Black.
people who would look at black, they would be confused as to how black could be pale or how black could be shiny or
Now.
any of the other definitions
Now.
of black when they don't know how to apply it to anything other than a color.
Yes. And now this is third grade again, right? Third grade, when they're teaching art, little children, they will give them primary colors, and then they will tell them very clearly and distinctly, white and black are not part of the primary color spectrum. They're technically not considered colors at all.
Wow.
But we say that to give them a reference point. And what do these so-called scholars keep on saying? That it's a color and it means Afrocentricity. Do you see the incompetence? Hold on. Do you understand? Third grade again. So we deal with grammar and basic art. It's amazing, more than amazing. You know, and they reject knowledge as if it's attacking them. And then wonder why the rest of the world don't take us serious. And it's unfair to the rest of the world. And they get tired
It does attack them.
they get tired of dealing with us, dealing with our BS.
It attacks everything that they believe. It attacks everything that they fight for, everything that they base their lives around until now. Until the truth hits them and they have a reason to look elsewhere and stop questioning the things that they hate so much. They stop questioning, why do I have to go to work? They stop questioning, why do I have to be taxed? Just like Morpheus said in the Matrix, all those things that make you itch or question in the back of your mind that you aren't really supposed to be doing is for a reason, because you're really not supposed to be doing it. There's something wrong with every single one of those systems, and until you figure that out, until you get your medicine, until you take your red or blue pill, you'll never know. You'll just be stuck in the matrix with the next person. It's crazy.
And this is where, and we will make sure that we get you a dictionary on the college dictionary on the English language, and then it has the appendix in the back where you can look up the etymology, and then it'll send, just like this will tell you old Middle English derived from Old High German, Blake, Black, etc. And then you would go into the appendix and it would tell you pale and shining. So words mean what they mean. They don't mean ebonics, what you want to make it to be, since you're too lazy to study the discipline, because culture isn't a language and you want to make things up because you're lazy or you don't have books, and then make it be what you want to be and then start teaching it to the children and call it legitimate. And this is what they keep doing to our children, making things worse.
They do it with every song that they don't know the lyrics to. You ever hear somebody completely murder a song?
Yeah.
They sing it, and they'll tell you that that's what the lyrics are because that's what they hear.
Yes.
That's not the lyrics though.
Exactly.
That's just what you hear.
Yeah.
And they go teaching this as if it's the word and it's just what you hear.
Exactly. And remember the etymon. So let's just state this so that the listeners can kind of understand what we're talking about, because we don't want to talk around them. We want them to really understand why we're passionately making these statements to redeem them. Because we want them to know that we're not appealing to any clubism or competing. We're trying to educate them so that they can reason, intelligence, common sense on facts, not emotions and beliefs or biases. All right? Now I want you to read this too. So put that down for a minute. And let's see. Right here, where my thumb is, that's etymon. And of course, etymology is up there. So you want to read etymon, then you're going to read etymology.
Okay.
All right.
Etymon, the true literal sense of a word. Etymology, the original root or primitive word, also its original signification or root meaning. And then we have...
Now, just right there, just right there, you know and I know when you present basic third grade etymon degree to most of our people, they don't even know what etymon is. Now, just do an intelligent analysis. If most of our people don't know what an etymon is, and you're reading what it is, do you understand why most of our people are declared that they can't read, or that they're educated illiterates, and they get insulted because they can pronounce words ebonically, and they swear they can read, and don't even know the science of language, which is right there? Is that universal or is that biased?
Universal.
All right, now read etymology.
Etymology, the true account and analysis of a word, the true literal sense of a word, true logos, description. Okay, then it has several bullets and definition. Number one, it says the origin and development of a word, tracing a word back as far as possible, generally by methods of comparative linguistics. Number two, an account of this. In this dictionary, etymologies are given in brackets following the part of speech label. 3. The branch of linguistics that deals with the origin and development of words. 4. In grammar, the division which treats of various inflections and modifications of words and shows how they are formed from their simple root.
Without going any further, isn't that an education in itself? It even tells you how to read a dictionary, and most people don't even know. So if you ask them the etymology or the etymology brackets, the part of speech, they pause because it's not on the surface of their knowledge, is it? So if you give our people contracts and stuff like that, even a mortgage, most of them think that they're buying something and that they're owning something, don't they? Don't they? Read mortgage. And this is just an example that we're showing where our people can't read. And even how our communities are constantly being gentrified. Mortgage, and then part of speech and break it down.
Mortgage. You said the part of speech and break it down also?
Yep.
Mortgage, a noun. So it says OF, so Old French. Mortgage, literal, dead pledge. Mort.
Dead pledge, doesn't it?
Yep.
Dead pledge.
Yeah.
How many people in our community got mortgage contracts and don't even know it's a dead pledge? Contracts dead and they themselves are the pledge. And then the European come back and gentrify the community and they want to talk about racism. And I have mortgage, I own it. It's a dead pledge. It can't damn read. Do you understand the problem that we have? Now, see where etymology has its role? And half our people will sit up and argue with you about what they believe and talk about what they own. Do you understand?
It says mortgage deed, a deed given by way of mortgage. But once you know what a mortgage is,
It's a deed pledge.
A deed given away by dead pledge.
Now isn't Philadelphia being gentrified faster than any place in the country? And aren't they stealing people's houses left and right, and we're the main targets? They got, oh, mortgage. You got a dead pledge. No, a mortgage. You got a dead pledge. Contract was dead, and you're the pledge, and we come and taking your sharecropping stuff. You're being thrown off. They don't even know it's a sharecropping agreement. Do you understand? And we try to educate them, and the black leaders start talking about that's that more stuff that get them in trouble. You see the problem that we have?
Who's going to get in trouble? Them.
For dealing with logic and facts. In other words, like this, you can't, what they're trying to say is don't talk back to the slave master.
Right.
Don't rock the boat.
That's exactly what they're saying.
That's exactly what they're saying.
Wow.
But a person who can't read doesn't take it that way, do they?
It being Samuel L. Jackson and Django.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, Django's telling you pretty much just what we're telling you. Anyway, any questions, Nathaniel, from the people? And if you please interject, please help us out. See, because it's the consciousness that's necessary. And let's look at this. Let's be honest. Because we were asking some questions earlier, and I mentioned the oath of ethics, and you went into it. You happen to have it. Of course, I don't have it with me. But even when you were reading it, and you're familiar with it, you always carry in your car. Even as you were reading it, it was actually renewing a consciousness in you. Because you were still, what? Even when you read it again, it was starting to make you realize how important it actually is. Not that you minimized it because you read it thoroughly, but it made you realize small details of assurances that you underestimated even yourself, and you already got it. So imagine the people that don't have it at all, don't even know about it.
They're supposed to not be biased to friendships, but you know that firsthand they'll do whatever they can for their partner or the person that they sit next to, or whoever's on the force, or anybody in blue, because
yeah, they're protecting their criminality.
Yeah. Do they have any questions?
Well, go ahead. Now you understand why people who have this knowledge are treated as a threat.
Says it would seem that the climate of 1774 with the modern Europeans at Northwestern Mexico, and how the Constitution of 1791 was the protection for many of the unjust from the British, and now even in this cycle, Europeans are still claiming their justice via the Declaration of 1776 to protect their so-called gun rights. What will it take to get our unconscious Moors to realize that marching, praying for false help, and so-called voting, etc., will never supersede the supreme law of the land, of this land, Morocco? It seems we will watch many of our family go to death because of constitutional psychopath inferior complex, when there is only one supreme issue that will truly protect all liberties, peace, and love.
And that is what? The enforcement of the Constitution. And when you're talking enforcement of the Constitution, remember, you're saying treaty and Constitution. Here's where Article 6 comes in. And this is why people need to study. Because when you're saying the word Constitution just by itself, in law you're saying treaty and Constitution. But you're supposed to know that. You're not to need to have to say that. Now go to the treaty book. Give Article 6 of the Constitution.
I was going to say, you can have it.
Now, and this is back to, I want you to read. I want you to read. Yeah, Article 6. And it's back to the necessity of our people knowing their history, to know that they're part and parcel of the said government, and knowing why Drawley's telling them that. Because that is the equity contract. In other words, it keeps government in check. It doesn't give you rights, it secures rights that already exist. And if that concept is not understood, they keep looking for, it to give them a right. It doesn't give the people right. It secures the rights that already exist. Go ahead. Article 6.
Article 6 of the Constitution reads, all debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution.
Slow down so that people can hear you. Before, because that must be understood.
Yes.
So that means it supersedes, doesn't it? Before means before this is adopted, this stands. Go ahead.
I repeat, Article 6 of the Constitution. All debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be valid against the United States.
Against does not mean what? For.
Against.
That means they're obligated. It's making you clear that it's two parties, isn't it? How many people would read past that? Now continue.
This shall be valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation.
So you see more than one laws operating here, isn't it? Continue.
This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all the treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any states to the contrary notwithstanding.
So now you see what Corbin was talking about? They were obligated. And what was they doing? Trying to shut her up. So what happens when a young sister like her, that got a good brain, starts catching on to this and taking a stand, and that influences all the youths cross that bridge, and they start looking, this ain't gibberish.
Right.
Do you see the momentum that they were putting in check, that they saw coming? And she already got a suit against them, and their bonds is going up.
She may have lost her life, but she lost it with purpose. She opened her eyes.
And they were trying to assassinate her son too because he could talk.
And she was teaching them.
Exactly. And they already had been threatening her. She knew they set a team out to assassinate her.
The one guy even said in the back of the video, he said, oh yeah, I seen your girl before. She's like, I know, y'all been watching me. And I lost it out against y'all.
You know, now you see why they got these so-called black shills out there muddying the water.
I've seen the tanks riding around.
Now you understand they're tied to the Southern Christian Poverty Law Center.
I have to look into that.
Yes.
All right, so finishing with Article 6, it says, the senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States.
So you can see that religious beliefs are dismissed, aren't they? Because it has nothing to do with it, does it?
Yes. I'm sorry, that just made me think of something.
Now you see how these so-called black leaders keep muddying this water? But people who don't know this, they get caught up in their own biases and don't know they're undermining themselves. Now you see how when you're talking constitution, you're talking treaty. Now you see why they won't teach the people about the treaty? Now you see why Obama went to Egypt and talked about the treaty, because we won't with our phony black selves. Now you understand why Michelle went to the Alhambra? Now pull up on your phone Obama with the Moorish flag, and then make the picture full screen and put it in front of the camera, because he's showing you the real Moroccan flag. And she wears a red dress. Now, of course, the black leaders will call him phony too.
Oh, who phony?
No, I'm talking about the black shills, because that's their job.
They call Obama phony?
Yes, because he ain't doing nothing for the black people.
Really?
He
didn't sign
it's the
rights
game.
to business people?
It's the game. It's the game.
He saved everybody's life.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? It's the game.
She did have a pretty red dress on.
All right, now make a full screen. Take it in front of the camera, please. Now, so the deal is now, you put that in context with George Washington's letter. And remember that Michelle went to the Alhambra, last stronghold of the Moors. And then consider these so-called black shills out here that keep on muddying the water and trying to twist this stuff up to get the people fighting each other. You get the point? Now, without this knowledge, our people will be caught up in their biases with their little club groups, wouldn't they? Now you see why they pay off these guys to keep these people fighting each other, to divert them from what's really going on here?
Anything to keep the people appeased and not ask.
No, but distracted.
Distracted, agreed.
Why their estate is being what? Sold off while they're playing black games. Thinking that they're being Afrocentrically intelligent.
Watching reality.
Guided by black leader scholars that keep incidentally condemning conscious Moors as if it's a club. You see the frustration that's put the position it puts the world in? I'm talking about other nation states.
Yes.
Any questions? Other questions? Nathaniel?
Would status correction or a declaration of one's nationality make it easier for felons to get a job? Or would finding a temple to join, I say all this because I'm in my right mind trying to become upstanding or whatever, and it's hard being accepted as an employee. I was wondering what you would do in such a situation.
All right, now here you have the obligation of the rights of indigenous people, and the CEO of the corporate operation, United States Corporation Company, signed the rights of indigenous people. These people are obligated to it. So what you do, you take the law and present it to them.
So
you don't have to argue. See, you don't argue, you don't start arguing as if it's your opinion.
Right.
You show them their obligation.
Right.
This is why we try to make sure people get documents. Don't try to argue. Meaning don't put yourself in a position where they think that you're trying to impose something. Show them their obligation. But if you don't know it's their obligation, you start trying to defend a right. You can't defend a right, you declare it. But you have to understand that. And your right already exists. They're obligated to what? To secure it. And you don't get in them Negro arguments. It's international law, because the United States Corporation Company is what? It is administered under international law. And that's why they need to know these things.
So yes, getting your paperwork is the start, but you have to also study law and know what you're talking about and know
Law and
how
history
to
go
take
together.
the rights of the indigenous people and defend yourself.
Now you understand why
Takes a lot
Obama
of
signed
study.
it, and also why it says civic groups and church groups are to distribute this information at all costs. That means we're doing a little lecture here, just a little interview type thing. But this information is supposed to be taught, broken down. The people are supposed to be made competent. And you know and I know that just like we're doing this video to help the people up a little bit, to get their understanding. And this should be standard everyday operation in our community. You already know it isn't. I know it isn't. It's not even arguable. But how many of our people know that these groups and these churches and civic groups are obligated by international law to dispense this information? And then you got these so-called black shills muddying the water and trying to act like Moors, conscious Moors, are making this up or creating trouble. And they're obligated to this too.
We are creating trouble for them, but we are making it up.
Yes, so we have to get past that BS and make the common people who they're controlling aware of this. Because every man, every woman, and every child must, by law, confess their own. But if they don't know their bloodline, logically they can't. And therefore read status in a state, read status in the law book. Here's the law book. And keep this in mind, this is also this would also go with that question, that first question. Go ahead, read status.
Status, standing, state or condition. The legal relation of individual to rest of community. the rights, duties, capacities, and incapacities which determine a person to a given class. A legal personal relationship, not temporary in its nature, nor terminable in the mere will of the parties, which third parties and the state are concerned. It also means the state.
Read that again.
It also means the state.
Read that again.
Status also means
estate.
estate.
Why?
Because it signifies the condition or circumstances in which one stands with regard to his property.
So you see, in society, status is everything, isn't it? So what if their status is dead under the black codes? Do they have right of estate?
No.
You see the problem? You see why the black leaders keep on muddying this argument and trying to act like we're making this up? And these people run around thinking they can claim property and UCCs and still be in the black status just because they process some papers. See the danger of ignorance. And you're trying to get this information to these people, and they don't know that the corporate operatives of the United States Corporation is trying to exterminate them before they get to where they need to be. And then they're paying off their black leaders' shills to muddy the water or to create fights amongst our people so that our people won't pay attention to what we're telling them, making them think that the conscious Moors are creating problems for them rather than liberating them.
Right.
Now you understand, once the people have these reference points, the people themselves will recognize that they're COINTELPROPers. But until the people have this knowledge, they're caught in the gray area of their own biases that they've been trained already in, and protecting their little school of thought groups, not understanding that they're actually out of order. And they're looking for remedy. The remedy's always been here. They haven't been using it because they haven't been taught. And then their leader guys keep teaching them against Noble Drew Ali rather than showing them what he's really telling them. It's established in law. It already exists before they were even born. They were misclassified to steal their birthright. And they keep thinking it's a belief system, with the help of their black leader shills that they don't know are shills. And this is where we are. That's why we're doing this. And we'll do it again, as long as it's necessary.
As many times.
However, remember, this has been going on for 102 years right now. And so the world is getting kind of wondering what's up with us.
Right.
Now do you understand why China and Russia is now just dumping them bonds? This is aside from it affecting them, is because we're at the center of this thing and we ain't doing what we're supposed to do. And the rest of the nations, their economies are being crashed because we keep on BSing around. And we're in the heart of it. It's our estate. And the rest of the world is being damaged now because we're taking so long to claim the estate. And the Europeans been using our estate to what? To fund a war machine to steal other nations and to upset other nations, and we still sitting around here to talk about a job that we ain't gonna damn get.
I'm going to ask questions that I already know the answer to for everyone out there who doesn't.
Yes.
So, I've heard a lot about declaring my nationality.
Yes.
How do I do that?
All right. Now, fundamentally, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali set up the Old Canine Temple, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, basically called Moorish Temple of Science, and then adopted in 1926 as its corporate name, the Moorish Science Temple of America, as a political platform for the people to correct their names and nationality. Remember, the Freedmen's Bureau, i.e. the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands, was originally set up to do exactly the same thing. But if people don't know history, they're not aware of that. So the status must be corrected, because before the estate can be descended, the status must be corrected, which is why I had you read status.
Right.
And they must be in their proper person in order to be descendable.